An expedition across the world's oceans says it's found a worrying level of plastic pollution in the waters around Antarctica. Environmental campaigners found up to 40,000 fragments of plastic waste in every square kilometre of sea. The research was conducted by the French-based vessel the Tara, and Dr. Chris Bowler was part of the team on board the vessel, and he joins us in the studio now. Dr. Bowler, you've just come from the Science Museum where you've been describing what you've found. This level of plastics found in the Antarctica, it's very alarming.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't expect to find such high amounts of plastic in the Arctic because we consider this sort of area to be a pretty pristine environment, sort of far away from the dirty reach of our hands, you know, as mankind. So finding such high levels, which are sort of similar to average levels around the globe, in the oceans around the world, was a big surprise, very alarming.
And we're not talking about plastic bottles or anything like that. These are tiny, tiny items.
Right, we're specifically trawling for plastic using specialised nets, pulling up the plastic which is just sort of under the surface. So unless you trawl for it using these special nets, it's sort of invisible, so you don't know it's there until you actually pull it out of the water and see what's there.
And how is it getting there? One assumes it's pollution.
Yeah, one assumes it's certainly pollution. Where is it coming from? Is it coming from the southern hemisphere countries or the northern hemispheres where there is much more humanity on the planet? Is hard to say, but we would imagine that it's coming from the southern hemisphere because knowing how the circulation of the currents move in the oceans, it's probably fair to believe that it's coming from these southern countries.
And this is worrying because, of course, the plankton then digests this, I assume, and then that feeds into the food chain.
Yeah, so by reacting slowly with the ultraviolet light of the sun and the salt in the seawater, chemicals are released which are toxic, phthalates, phenol molecules and so on, which get taken up by the plankton. Because plankton is the base of the food chain, these will get up into the fish and then ultimately end up on our tables again. So we're sort of poisoning ourselves, sadly.
And this was a 2-year expedition. You also found a rather worrying, some worrying evidence of climate change.
Yeah, so the main objective of the expedition was really looking at plankton, some microscopic organisms living in the oceans. We wanted to sort of take the pulse of the ocean at the beginning of the 21st century, because we don't really know much about the ocean. Plenty of things to discover. A number of species of planktonic organisms which are like an invisible forest in the ocean, doing all kinds of important things, producing oxygen in every second breath that we breathe, taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and so on. We know almost nothing about this invisible forest. So in this novel expedition on the vessel Tara, we were really looking at the planktonic life all around the world and seeing how different plankton communities sort of are doing in regions that are highly polluted or less polluted and so on.
Wow, fascinating stuff. Well, Dr. Chris Bowler, thank you very, very much for coming in to speak to us about it. Thank you.
Thank you.